A very good evening. Welcome to Premier League Live as we are getting ready to finalise this season. Just one more single standalone game before we set up for the final day on Sunday afternoon. And tonight, it's a big job on the hands of both teams that we watch this evening. A Manchester City side who are outside of the top five starting this evening, but can jump up to third with a victory. For Bournemouth, they want to get back up to eighth after Brighton's win over Liverpool last night. Means Brighton are in the driving seat for that 8th place finish, if that is a European spot. Both sides fighting for Europe, Man City the pinnacle, and Bournemouth looking for Europe for the first time in the club's history. It will be set up for a great final day, whatever happens tonight, and we'll see what comes of it this evening. Of course, Man City reacting and coming into this one off the back of that FA Cup final defeat to Crystal Palace on Saturday, and some big news from the team to tell you, and we'll get to that very shortly. And for Bournemouth, a lot of talking points around Bournemouth and their players. So two sides with a lot to talk about tonight. So we've a good lot of information and talking points to get through this evening for you. So don't worry, we'll keep you right up to date and covered. But, as I say, the title race done, the relegation well done for those two. But the only race left that everybody is running is that top five race. Who will be the final three teams that will face in the Champions League next season? Liverpool and Arsenal are already there. But who will join them? We will find out over tonight and, of course, on Sunday. Let's have a look and see kind of how it stands then for that top five race, because it's getting really interesting coming into this evening. This is the way it looks coming into tonight's games. On the right-hand side of your screen there, you can see who each team will play. Of course, Man City only played 36, so they play Bournemouth tonight. But the rest on that right side is who each team plays on the final day. The points there, Liverpool 83. And Arsenal on 71. Both were already confirmed for the Champions League. Arsenal did that by their 1-0 win over Newcastle on Sunday, so they are confirmed and confirmed second. So Arsenal, their season is done and dusted with a game to spare. Newcastle are on 66 points in third, Chelsea on 66 in fourth, and Aston Villa also on 66 in fifth. And then just a point behind those three teams come Manchester City in sixth, and 7th place Nottingham Forest on 6th, both on 65 points. It is set to be a cracking final day, I can tell you. If Man City win tonight, of course, as I said, they can jump up to third in the table. They go on to 68 points, which would mean they would surely be nailed on for a place in the Champions League. But you never know what the final day has in store for us. Let's have a look and see kind of how it's stood for the final 5 games of the season. A lot of green there, including Aston Villa have won 3 in a row, so they're the team in the best run of form coming into towards the final day. Of course, Newcastle there at the top, beaten by Arsenal. Their only defeat in the last 4 games in in the Premier League. Nottingham Forest got their first win of their last 4 away at West Ham at the weekend. Not easy for Forest, but they got it done and over the line after they seemed to be stumbling at the wrong end, the wrong part of the season, really. Picked up only 2 points from their previous 9 available before that win against West Ham, and then Chelsea winning at home to Man United set them up for a good run. 3 wins of their last 4 for the Blues. That defeat away at Newcastle a little bit more hurtful, but they'll not want to lose to another fellow battler on the final day when they head to Nottingham Forest on the final day to Chelsea. That will be a crucial game to see who will be joining Liverpool and Arsenal in the Champions League next year. Of course, Everton at home for Newcastle, Fulham away for City, and Aston Villa head to Manchester United. Those other final day games for the top 5 battlers. So it is set to be a fascinating final day, I certainly can tell you. These are the Opta stats, what they're predicting, the percentage chances of each team getting into the top 5. Look at that, 100% now for Arsenal, their confirmed top 5 finish. Newcastle 83.4% after their defeat to Arsenal. That's gone down from over 90% last weekend. Manchester City on 85.5%. That was even further down as well. That was below 90. Both Newcastle and Man City were above 90 last week. Chelsea on 58.3%. Villa on 45.3%, and Nottingham Forest at 27.5% chance of Champions League football. In terms of 6th, Aston Villa are the most likely out of the teams to finish 6th in the table, but they're actually, according to Opta, more likely to finish in the top 5. So that makes it very interesting. About 36% for them, for Villa. The likes all in and around the same, 10 to 20% for all the rest of the teams. And then Forest, the favourites to finish 7th. They start the night in 7th, of course. Forest will head into the final day in 7th. We will see how they deal with that. The pressure is on. They have to win against Chelsea and hope results elsewhere go their way for them to get Champions League. 56.3% chance of Nottingham Forest finishing 7th. And to talk about 8th place, it does include Bournemouth, quickly before we get to the teams, because they're entering the tunnel, and lots of talking points. But 8th place, Europe permutations. So these are the two scenarios in which 8th place would be a European spot come the end of the season. If Chelsea win the Conference League and finish 7th, then the top 5 and the Europa League winners will get Champions League. Europa League will be given to 6th. Crystal Palace, the FA Cup winners, and Chelsea, who would finish 7th, and Conference League would go to 8th place. If Chelsea finish 6th, win the Conference League, and Newcastle are the team that finishes 7th, then Champions League will go to 1st and 5th, and the Europa League winners. Europa League will go to Chelsea, Crystal Palace, and Newcastle. Chelsea, of course, finishing 6th, and Crystal Palace and Newcastle, the two cup winners, and then Conference League would go to 8th. That is how the 8th place would be a European spot. That both scenarios there would mean there would be 10 teams in European football for England. That's 50% of the top flight would be in Europe next season, which is quite remarkable. We will see if that's the case. In any case, it will be 9 teams, we do believe, will be in those areas of Europe next season, which is quite remarkable. But that's the 8th place permutations. We'll not know that until at least 3 days after the final day, of course, because Chelsea don't play the Conference League final until next Wednesday, a week tomorrow. So we'll find out then whether 8th will be a Champions League place. So we'll not know by the final day. But I'm sure the team that does finish 8th will be keeping a keen eye on that Conference League final, of course. And Bournemouth will be hoping it's them, because they're still in the race and they need to get a win tonight if they're to get back into the mix. We'll see. Kick-off and team news is on the way in just a second. Here are the teams then for tonight's game, starting with the home side, Manchester City. Edison returns to goal after Stefan Ortega started the FA Cup final. That's one of 4 changes to Pep Guardiola's side that were beaten at Wembley on Saturday. The big news, of course, is that on the bench is Rodri tonight, the recent Ballon d'Or winner. He returns from injury for the first time since last September when he was injured against Arsenal. On the pitch, Edison, as I say, returns into goal. A back 4 of Matheus Nunes, who returns. Ruben Dias, that's incorrect. I do apologise for the little mistake there. Joško Vardiol and Manuel Akanji are the defenders. In midfield, Matej Kovacic and Ilkay Gundogan, with Kevin De Bruyne captaining Manchester City for his final home game here at the Etihad. Bernardo Silva, Omar Marmoush and Erling Haaland are further forward. On the bench for City tonight, Ortega, Ake, Grealish, Foden, Bob, O'Reilly, Gonzalez, Doku, and of course Rodri. For Bournemouth, 2 changes to the side that were beaten by Aston Villa last time out. Julian Araujo comes in at right back in place of Adam Smith, and Justin Kluivert starts in place for Adam Scott, who suffered a fractured jaw in that Villa game. So Kepa's in goal, a back 4 of Araujo, Zabarnyi, Huyson and Kirkez. A midfield of Lewis Cook, who's the captain, along with Tyler Adams. Justin Kluivert in the 10. Tavernier on the right-hand side, Semenyo on the left, and Evan Nielsen leading the line. On the bench for the Cherries tonight, Dennis, Senesi Smith, Soler, Akimboni, Brooks, Winterburn, Silcott Dubry and Jebison. Manchester City want to get back into the top 5, but Bournemouth have their own task on their hands. They want to get back in the conversation for 8th. A win is a must if that's going to be the case. Manchester City take on Bournemouth. Kick-off is next. A very good evening. Welcome to Premier League Live this evening for this one as we watch Manchester City in their final home game of the season against a Bournemouth side that already are having a few of their players pipped early, even before the end of the season. And one of those, Dean Hyson, who we saw on our screen there. And we get underway. Many's a talking point for this one tonight, and we'll get through them right the way throughout the 90 minutes. But of course the big one is that Kevin De Bruyne will play his final ever game at the Etihad Stadium as a City player tonight in their final home game of the season. Kevin De Bruyne has the captain's armband for tonight, and Pep Guardiola hoping he can control his emotions, he said before the game. Pep Guardiola to try and get them the desired result, because of course City, their season's not sealed and dealed. They've still got more to do if they want a top 5 finish. Here's Bournemouth with the first attack. Tavernier's cross was a little bit wayward, and it goes all the way through and outside the other edge of the box. And Bournemouth get the throw there with Antoine Semenyo winning it off Gvardiol. Tony says Chelsea-Newcastle was a clutch in that race. Indeed it was. Indeed it was. Long throw into the box there for Bournemouth, but right into the hands of the returning Manchester City goalkeeper Edison. He's between the sticks this evening. Stefan Ortega was preferred to the Brazilian for the FA Cup final on Saturday. A reminder for you as well, there's another game going on at Sellers Park. The other FA Cup finalists, the FA Cup winners, Crystal Palace, taking on Wolves in their final home game of the season. And no doubt they will be parading that FA Cup trophy about Sellers Park. The first time that Crystal Palace have ever won a major trophy. It's just sensational for them, and we'll keep an eye on their scoreline at Sellers Park tonight. But I'm sure those Palace fans and players will not care what the scoreline is in their final 2 games of the season. Because all they care about is their side got a trophy. The FA Cup is theirs. It's a nice work by Gundogan in between the lines. Nice turn from Marmouche, but he was nicely challenged by Tyler Adams. And here is Antoine Semenyo. Lays it off to Araujo down the right side for Bournemouth. That's the turn back to Cook there. Now back to Zabarnyi. Tries the long ball, headed away by Gundogan and flicked on by Gvardiol. Nicely recycled by Lewis Cook, who got on that loose ball and got Bournemouth back in possession. Well, we don't expect this to be a foregone conclusion tonight. It's a very competitive game. You know, Bournemouth beat Man City in the reverse fixture earlier in the season at the Vitality. Oh, loose ball by Ruben Dias. Given away cheaply here is Justin Kluivert into the box. Kluivert sliced it a little bit and up into the hands of Edison, but that was a mistake from Ruben Dias, and he was let off the hook there by Bournemouth. It's Haaland. Couldn't quite return the ball to his captain, De Bruyne. Here's Kirkes. He will try and find Kluivert, but he was miles offside there, and City just retrieved the ball with Manuel Akanji. And of course there's a lot to talk about where Bournemouth are concerned. 2 of their back 4 that start the game tonight might be going elsewhere. Here they come, Manchester City. The cutback from Bernardo Silva is massively cut out away from Omar Marmouche. But my goodness, the Bournemouth back 4, they're just dissipated. See this again, it was nice work from De Bruyne down the right side here. Just dragged 2 defenders over with him, Huyson and Adams, sorry it was, and they dragged them over, and a massive gaping hole in behind. De Bruyne just reversed the ball towards Bernardo Silva, who tried the cutback to the edge of the box to Marmouche, and it was nicely cut out on the return. But that was a massive hole in the Bournemouth defence that Man City had the chance to try and exploit. So they have a throw in down the right side, the home side here. Mateus Nunes to take. Down the line to Bernardo Silva, back to Nunes. Up against Tavernier. Nunes turns back to De Bruyne. Chips one with his left foot. Marmouche with a heavy touch. Sees it cleared away by Ilya Zabarnyi. Clearance recycled by Manchester City. Back into the home side's possession. I mean, what a result it would be if we get a draw out of tonight's game between these two. Will mean 4 of those 5 sides chopping. Oh, chance here for City. Another ball into the box. Bernardo Silva with a cutback again. And Bournemouth a little bit last ditch at the moment. They're getting it out, but leaving a lot of gaps for Manchester City. Now they want to break away. Kluivert down the left side. Kirkes in support. Kluivert steps inside, lays it off to Tavernier. Couldn't roll it through. Well blocked by by Vardy. Sorry. Looked like Evan Nielsen was lurking, and Huysen nips it back, but couldn't quite find Kirkes, who was brought to ground there by Matheus Nunes, but no foul, said the referee. Nice hold up from Kovacic, who was fouled there by Lewis Cook. Free kick there for City. See this again. Another move from Man City. Lovely little ball by Gundogan. Nice turn by Marmoush. He fed it down the right channel for Bernardo Silva, breaking into the box. And as he cuts it back, there's just no one in the middle for Bernardo Silva to find. And the ball just goes wayward. Unable to be cleared by Bournemouth. But again, some positive and promising signs for the home side. Such an early stage of this game. Our referee this evening is Thomas Bramall, and our VAR Paul Tierney for this one. There's Kepa with poor distribution there, winning Man City a throw. De Bruyne trying that threaded through ball. Doesn't quite find Bernardo Silva, but he's there to pick it up again. De Bruyne. Alright, wide to Bernardo Silva again. De Bruyne. Going to whip it. Just a bit away from Erling Haaland, and again Bournemouth clear, but only as far as Gundogan, who shoots, and Kovacic, and it's dragged wide. Not a bad opportunity there for Mateo Kovacic. Again, it all starts with De Bruyne, the determination to keep the attack going. Whips the ball in, a little bit away from Haaland, but Zabarnyi's header isn't picked up well, isn't cleared well, and Kovacic retrieves it in and around the edge of the D. Drives and has the shot and drags it wide of the left post. But again, as I say, Bournemouth a little bit last ditch, and they're not able to stop these little breakaways. It was good work from Manchester City just to keep that pressure on. They've started really well here, the home side. Starting with the better of the possession, but not only that, seem to be much more threatening. Here's Matheus Nunes going for the low cross, a little bit awkwardly cleared by Kirkes, but he got help from Lewis Cook. But again, Evan Nielsen can't hold it up, and Man City just retrieve the ball again in Bournemouth's half. A little bit one way at the moment. A little bit one-way traffic in these early moments of this game. Still 0-0, but Manchester City certainly the team dominating. Matheus Nunes, nice turn out wide to Bernardo Silva. Inside now to De Bruyne, who rolls it through, and straight on through is Matheus Nunes, who was well blocked by Kepa. I think he was offside anyway, the Portuguese, but that's what De Bruyne can do. We know what he can do, but they're turning it on now. Bournemouth just passengers in this game so far. Kepa, not great distribution, puts Kirkes under pressure by De Bruyne. And De Bruyne thought he'd won it back fairly, but the assistant saw otherwise, and a free kick will go the way of the visitors on that occasion. Can we see the through ball? Whether Matheus Nunes was offside or not, I'm not too sure. I didn't quite see it from that angle, but it's a lovely ball by De Bruyne. You see this earlier opportunity when Ruben Dias gives the ball away cheaply. Nice ball by Evan Nielsen through to Clivert stepped away from Diaz, and then the shot just kind of chipped up into the hands of Edison from a tight angle. Tough that for Cliverts. Ten minutes gone. 0-0, Manchester City. The team on top. The team with the major chances. Lovely ball. Quite simple ball from Edison right up to the top to Haaland, and laying off was Vardiol, and then through ball down that left hand side. Just didn't quite find a man. Marmouche was the closest. Again, they're moving it smoothly, City. I mean, to be fair, that ball from Edison right up the middle to Erling Haaland was far too easy. But again, once they get the ball down, City, they're moving it with pace. And I gotta say, they didn't really do that well against Crystal Palace at the weekend, I think. Of course, Crystal Palace set in a little bit more and put more bodies behind the ball than I think Bournemouth will do tonight. I don't think Bournemouth will sit back and soak up pressure. I think they're here to press, they're here to apply the pressure, and Tavernier almost did there on Kovacic. But I think with Crystal Palace sitting a little bit deeper, Man City struggled to play it a little bit quicker, and that was their downfall. But I think Bournemouth have enough confidence in themselves to go, yeah, we're going to try and press you high, we're going to try and push ourselves up the field and kind of force you into errors. That was nicely pressed by Kierkegaard. Tavernier trying to through ball, but I think it might have been offside anyway. Justin Kluivert, if he had got that ball through, it went out for a Man City throw. In any case, for that one. Ball all the way back to Edison, who thumps it long towards Haaland, who tried to take the touch, but well watched by Zabarnyi and cleared away by Dean Howson. Again, that clearance from Bournemouth. He's not able to keep the ball. And of course, Dean Howson in the news this week that it was confirmed that he will be joining Real Madrid in the summer. £50 million. Joining the Galacticos in the Spanish capital, which is a great acquisition. He was of interest from around the Premier League as well, was Dean Howson. Real Madrid will be his desired destination, so much so that he put like an animation of him in a Real Madrid shirt on his Instagram. I think yesterday or the day before. It wasn't him, it was like that kind of the meme. I don't actually know what the meme was. I think it's the cool guy meme. I'm not too sure, but yeah, he put that on his Instagram, so the players certainly confirmed it, and as did Bournemouth and Real Madrid. But shows the company that he is having interest from. He'll be joining one of the top clubs in Europe. It's here, Man City on the break. Omar Marmouche trying to make a run into the box. It was Vardiol on the ball. Couldn't quite find him. And Semenyo was tracking Vardiol all the way back. And now they want to spring away, Bournemouth, but not getting very far. Nicely cut out by Joshua Vardiol for Manchester City to have it back. Gundogan back to Akanji. Nice turn for Marmouche. Oh, what a goal! What a hit from Omar Marmouche! I couldn't believe it just quite hit the nets, but what a rocket of an effort from Manchester City's number 7. That was sensational. No one stopping that one. He took a bit of initiative. He was in a deeper position, Marmouche, and he just decided to hit it. And what a hit it was. What a goal. The January signing lighting up the show again. Again, gets it into space. No one closing him down quick enough. But you never in a million years think he's going to shoot from there. Very central, about 30 odd yards. And he just hits it so sweetly into the top left corner. What a finish! Off the inside of the left post. That is sensational from Omar Marmoush. What a cracker of a goal. That is one goal really to behold. What a way to kick off and get the opener in your final home game of the season. Entertaining the home fans with an absolute cracker of a finish. What a beautiful goal from Omar Marmoush. It took me by surprise. My goodness. His 8th goal in a Manchester City shirt for Omar Marmoush. And what a goal it was. The 26-year-old Egyptian, as I say, joined Manchester City in January. His 8th in a City shirt, his 7th in the Premier League this season. His first since a 5-2 win over Crystal Palace here at the Etihad in mid-April. Actually, his last 3 goals for Manchester City from Marmoush have all come at the Etihad Stadium. His last away goal was against Bournemouth in the FA Cup. Loose ball there from Omar Marmoush. Does well to make up for it as he blocks off Milos Kerkez, but in the process fouling Milos Kerkez. Yeah, he tried to feed the ball out wide. Didn't quite reach his man, and Kerkez was there to intercept. Linked up with Tavernier. Kerkez down the left, and Marmoush tracked him. There wasn't much contact in it, but it deemed a foul by the referee. Now Bournemouth have a free kick with 17 minutes gone. Looking to try and react and respond to that opener from Manchester City. Tavernier with a deep cross. Edison saw it all the way and dealt with it. And now he's going to set off De Bruyne. Trying to break down that left-hand side. It's Araujo for company. And Araujo did well on the cover to stop Kevin De Bruyne. Of course, what a career at Manchester City Kevin De Bruyne has had. 10 years. Incredible amount of titles. 6 Premier League titles. 2 FA Cups. 5 Carabao Cups. 2 Community Shields and a Champions League. What a trophy cabinet for Kevin De Bruyne. Manchester City. And of course, a couple of runners-up medals as well in that. 3 runners-up medals. 2 FA Cup runners-up and a Champions League runners-up medal. He's won countless kind of individual awards as Kevin De Bruyne in his time at Manchester City. He's won the Player of the Season in 4 separate years. He won it in his first season here, 2015-16. This last time he won the Player of the Season was in 21-22. And City stopped, of course, Liverpool's faint quadruple hopes in winning that title. De Bruyne was on something else that season. But he hasn't ruled out another move across to another part of the Premier League. That's not been ruled out by Kevin De Bruyne. I mean, unlikely that there will be a move across Manchester, but could be a move somewhere else in England that could interest Kevin De Bruyne. Especially we'll see how the Champions League race goes. He might join a Champions League side. City trying to build upon that opener. It's actually mental that Bournemouth have had a higher XG than Manchester City, and Man City lead by 1-0. It shows you how good Omar Marmoush's goal was, that the XG was so little. 0.08 XG for Manchester City so far. That goal from Omar Marmoush had an XG of 0.02. So trying to break into the box again, but Vardyol's low ball towards the edge of the box was snuffed out by Milos Kerkez. He tries to feed it down the left channel for Tavernier. Well marked by Mateus Nunes, and beaten to it by Nunes, who wins it off Marcus Tavernier and springs away for Manchester City. 0.02 XG for Omar Marmoush for that opening goal. What a goal. Their only shot on target so far, as here is Haaland in behind, fed by De Bruyne. Haaland has to turn back as he was pressured. Marmoush lays it off to Vardyol, back to Marmoush, told to shoot by the crowd, surrounded by a few Bournemouth players. Vardyol into De Bruyne, now Marmoush. Still some faint shoot calls by the crowd. He's far on the left channel now, on the far left side. Links it up with De Bruyne. Now back to Gundogan. Just keeping it moving. So every time Marmoush gets on the ball now, the crowd are telling him to shoot. Here's De Bruyne. Just keeping it in around this area. And Bournemouth have now dropped off a little bit. They're committing more bodies further back. Just keeping further cover in place. Kovacic finding the little gap to Haaland. Haaland, who rolls it out wide to De Bruyne. A little bit of a loose touch, but he's still got the ball. De Bruyne gets the cross in, back post. Haaland tried the acrobatic one, but could only get it right back across goal and into the hands of Kepa. Those two have combined for crazy goals in the last few seasons, and they almost did it again. Kevin De Bruyne and Erling Haaland. We've seen Haaland. Not often we've seen him do that recently, though. Those acrobatic efforts, he was full of them in his first 2 seasons at Manchester City, but this season not as much. And they all count, as they say. And he almost had one there. De Bruyne, again, you think he'd lost it. He just retrieved it past the bar and he skips past him and then just lifts that ball to perfection to Haaland at the back post, who made that run, stretching for it acrobatically. He's not too far away. Erling Haaland. Bournemouth a little bit lucky. Remember, they lose tonight or draw this evening and they will be unable to finish 8th, so their European hopes that are still pretty slim, considering the fact they need to win tonight and win on Sunday. That would get them to 59 points, and the team in 8th, Brighton, are on 58, so it would mean they'd have to win both games and hope Brighton drop points at the weekend for them to get Europe to Bournemouth. So there's still a faint hope, but they do need to win tonight for that to be any sort of chance heading into Sunday. And that is, of course, if 8th ends up being a European place. Bernardo Silva. Oh, caught loose in the middle there. Evan Nielsen there to mop it up. Finding Tavernier. Halfway through the first half, Manchester City 1, Bournemouth 0. Omar Marmoush's worldly separating the sides. Well, another man in cherry red and blue, or red and black, is Milos Kerkez, who's been hinted at a move away. Apparently some reports coming out today that Liverpool are in advanced talks. But we'll see how that one goes. He's been one of the best left backs in the Premier League this season, if not the best left back. I'd say he's alongside the likes of Anthony Robinson and maybe, you could argue, maybe young Miles Lewis-Skelly, who's come flying through for Arsenal as well. That's a lovely ball by Zabarni out wide to Kerkez. Fizzes one across the box, but well dealt with by Ruben Dias, and City can break away now. Kovacic giving it out wide to Gundogan. Lays it back on to Kovacic, who's got bodies ahead of him. Kovacic rolls it in behind for Marmoush. Marmoush across De Bruyne! He's hit the crossbar. with an absolute open net in front of him. And he cracks it off the underside of the crossbar. You wouldn't have wanted an even better chance, because there isn't one, for Kevin De Bruyne to find a goal. And he somehow, it was harder to hit the bar than it was to find the net there. Somehow he did. The stadium were ready to celebrate a second, and it probably should have been a second, because it was a beautiful move. And they were so unlucky. Certainly, Kevin De Bruyne was so unlucky. We saw Mo Salah missed an absolute sitter of a Galtez chance yesterday in that game against Brighton. Well, Kevin De Bruyne has just upped them. It was a completely empty net in front of him. Mental. Wow. Jonathan says, sorry, it was late for the game was working. No worries, Jonathan. Great to have you with us. Jonathan says, by the way, presenter, look forward to your coverage next season. It's been brilliant. Great to have you with us this evening, and we look forward to next season. Apparently there's going to be more games on, so more games means more coverage here. And we can enjoy it all together. I'm looking forward to it. But of course, looking forward to a little bit of a break as well. Once the season comes to an end, at the end of May, a little bit of a break and then up and running again. Of course, we'll be covering the Club World Cup. We'll keep an eye on a couple of City games, and Chelsea's involved as well. A couple of interesting games as well for European sides. So we will certainly be keeping a very close eye on that during June and July. When the off-season... Look at this, De Bruyne chance again. I mean, he's right on the edge of the 6-yard box. And Kepa is on the far side. The ball's been squared across by Marmoush. And De Bruyne is free as a bird right on the edge of the 6-yard box with an empty net in front of him. And he somehow hits the crossbar with the effort. My goodness. Well, we talked about the XG of Omar Marmoush's effort. I would wonder what the XG of Kevin De Bruyne's chance there was, because I'm sure it's very high. I would very much say you would back him every day of the week to score that goal. Or to score that shot, sorry. It's not a goal. Speaking of goals, there's been a couple of goals at Sellers Park to tell you about. Wolves have taken the lead. Emmanuel Agbadou has given Wolves the lead, but just in the last minute or so, we believe Crystal Palace have equalised, so it is 1-1 at Sellers Park from what we're hearing there. We just have the goal scorer for Palace. It's Eddie Nketiah, so it is Palace 1, Wolves 1, an entertaining one at Sellers Park. Because they both games kicked off at the same time, so the clock on the top left of your screen would be the similar time to the Crystal Palace Wolves game. They're around about on the same timeline at the two games. Oh my goodness me, the stadium was awaiting, and the family of Kevin De Bruyne in the stands there, and his son as well, watching on. He couldn't believe it. I don't think they could either. I don't even think his teammates on the bench could believe he missed that chance. Well, he still got the chance to have the fairy tale ending here at the Etihad, of course. Still got, what, a good 60-odd minutes to try and find a goal. And you wouldn't back him, or you wouldn't bet against him not getting it. Kirkez with a chip ball over the top, looking for the run of Kluivert, but nicely marshalled by Manuel Akanji. Back to Edison, who pumps it long in the midfield. De Bruyne got a little touch to that. It was almost in behind for Haaland before Dean Huyson shut him down on that occasion. Jonathan says, City just know when to let players go. De Bruyne has been awesome in the last 8 to 10 years. America he is going. Well, we don't know where he is going, but we'll wait and see. It'll be very interesting. I mean, many's a Premier League side should be really in for him. I mean, it's Kevin De Bruyne. I understand he's getting older and all that, but it doesn't look like Kevin De Bruyne won't be able to do a job. I think he could still do a job for a top Premier League side, no doubt about it. You know, just 33. We see footballers now go to 37, 38. You know, I heard something today. James Milner, 38, 39 he is, and he's going to get a new contract at Brighton. I mean, I've heard that's the story. I don't know if that's true, but I heard something around that. So 33 is not retiring age anymore, and for Kevin De Bruyne, I think he could still give it at least for another year or maybe 2 years at the top level before he will have to completely wind down and maybe go to an America or even Saudi or somewhere like that, where the intensity of European football and the highest level of European football is not the same. There's Gundogan there battling. Couldn't quite win the ball. Araujo got the better of him. Puts it out for a City throw though. Julian Araujo. Great name as well. Kovacic trying to find Nunez. Nicely taken down by Nunez. Bernardo Silva now. Inside to Kovacic, who laid it off, trying to find Haaland. Again, a little bit delayed as Omar Marmoush picks up the loose ball. And now on the spin is Gundogan, but he's offside. Very clearly offside. Jonathan says, presenter, what do I call you? Kevin. Kevin is my name. Jonathan says, Milner's still going. What is he? The team man? Well, at this rate, I mean, I'd say James Milner should take up a coaching role at this rate as well, because there's no way that he couldn't offer some great advice to players, and maybe Brighton are hoping that they can give them that advice in the dressing room as well. Who knows? They might be in Europe next season, Brighton, and maybe they'll need that extra little bit of kind of experience. I mean, there's no doubting James Milner's experience, but that is only if that's true. I haven't kind of heard too much about it. I heard it somewhere, but not too down with the details about James Milner and a possible new contract at Brighton. But then again, he's still able to do it. Why not? Lovely ball down the left side for Bournemouth here. Cavaniers, ball into the box. The chance! So he's at the post, Evan Nielsen. We'll come back out to a Semenyo here. What a ball by Tavernier. Here's Semenyo. Drifting into the box. Well blocked off by Gundogan, and Araujo picked it up, but he was offside. Gotta see this again. Great ball down the line to Tavernier. Find the space. It was all work from Dean Howson. Chips it over the top. Tavernier makes the run. He gets past his man. What he does is he drifts it across early, and the bobbling ball perfect onto Evan Nielsen, who stretches with his right, and he just stretches it off the right foot onto the post, bounces up and bounces off the post. Edison had no chance, but that was a chance, a massive, massive chance for Evan Nielsen to get Bournemouth level. Believe me, Jonathan, the spelling is incredibly difficult. It's an Irish spelling. Here comes Haaland in behind for City. It's end-to-end at the moment. Haaland's gone a bit wide as he turned there. Gundogan. Nunez played inside now to Marmoush with a heavy touch. It's allowed Bournemouth back on the ball here with Tyler Adams. Inside from Kierkees. Nice holding of the ball. Milos Kierkees tried to send Evan Nielsen on a run, but that one a little bit too optimistic for the Bournemouth centre forward to reach. Want Notts Forest to get into the Champions League. It would be good to see them in there, but again, I don't know what the likelihood is of them getting there. They need to win at the weekend, and I don't even know what the permutations are. If City win tonight, they go up to third. Forest need to win. They've gone to 68 and hope that the other three teams don't all win. Obviously, they play Chelsea, so that would be a given. But even at that point, they could still be out of the top 5 if Villa and Newcastle and City all win at the weekend, no matter even if they beat Chelsea. So Nottingham Forest-Chelsea will be the key game, I guarantee you that. But it's whether or not Forest will find themselves in a position where they can't get the top 5. Stumbled in the last few weeks. They got over the line against West Ham at the weekend, but Chelsea might be a very different task for them, a very, very different task. Oh, that's a poor giveaway by Edison. Tavernier wants to hit one. Wanted to do his Omar Marmoush impression there. He didn't quite work it off as it was blocked by City. And Tavernier battles to win it back, but Dean Howson committed a foul and came off the worst of the two players in that foul, as he's going to get himself booked here. As he gets back to the feet, and the referee quick to give him a yellow. You're trying to win the ball back there, Howson, and just absolutely clotheslines Ilkay Gundogan. I mean, he grabs the back of his shirt, the neckline of his shirt right here, and tugs right back, almost trailing the shirt from off of his body there. And Dean Howson gets himself the 10th yellow card of the season for the Bournemouth centre-back. Another goal at Sellers Park, by the way. Crystal Palace have now taken the lead. Eddie Nketiah with the comeback. 2 goals for him. Has Palace now leading by 2-1 against Wolves. They avoid defeat tonight, Crystal Palace. They will beat their points tally, their highest ever points tally in the Premier League. 52 points if they win tonight, they will be on. It will be just 1 less than Bournemouth. So Palace, theoretically, could finish in the top half. Now, they have to win tonight and win away at Liverpool at the weekend, but they could theoretically still finish in the top half. That is if Fulham and Bournemouth don't get above 55 points for Crystal Palace. But what a season, what a job Oliver Glasner's done at Crystal Palace. I mean, their first ever trophy. They're going to be, if they win tonight, their highest ever points tally in the Premier League. I mean, what job he has done. Or Crystal Palace side who were, I mean, they're going to be still bang average mid-table, but a little bit more competitive in the mid-table. Here's Gundogan. City want to try and add a second before the half. De Bruyne, well, closed out. Has to reverse it back into the path of Kovacic, who spreads it wide to the right for Mateus Nunes. Down the line to Bernardo Silva. Back to Nunes, who made the run behind, the ball across. Cleared away, not far. Kirkes tries to get it away, but not very far again. And nice turn by Gundogan. Rolls it back. Here's Bernardo Silva. That is sensational from Manchester City. At their cynical and clinical and incredible best. Popping it around like nobody's business. And they double their lead. Bernardo Silva finding the net. Passing Bournemouth to death. And their passes turns into a goal. And Bernardo Silva adding another to Manchester City's tally. It was just beautifully worked. Just really gorgeous football. Again, we see it again. The clearance is poor again from Howson. Forces Kirkes to step in. It was great pressure by Bernardo Silva. Good work by Gundogan as he gets the ball back to spin on the ball. We see it again here. Ball won back. Gundogan with a little flick on the turn. Rolls it back, drags it back, and then Bernardo Silva rifles it into the bottom right corner of the net. Beautifully worked. Fantastic. And that is gorgeous from Manchester City. If there was any doubt in the kind of resolution of Manchester City in this fight for the top 5, well, those doubts are being duly answered by this Manchester City team. Man City 2, Bournemouth 0. Absolutely gorgeous goal. 2 goals of the highest quality. Very different ways of producing them. Again, Bournemouth a little bit off it. But when you're a little bit off it, Manchester City can punish you to the highest order. And that they're doing again. It's given away cheaply by Cook and Haaland. was almost in, and he tried to play it off and messed it up. Almost 3-0 there. It was Lewis Cook, the experienced Bournemouth player with the captain's armband tonight, and he almost gifted Man City a third goal there. Switch ball here by Howson. Semenyo tussling. Araujo out wide here. Araujo with a deep cross into the box. Tavernier flicks it back across, but far too close to Edison. And again, Manchester City want to get on the move quickly. It's one thing I've said about City tonight. They've played with that zip, that energy, that extra little bit of pace in their play. And you up that tempo just a little bit. It's quite remarkable how quickly it can change and how the game can change when you up the tempo just by the tiniest margin. And that's not a great ball by Manuel Akanji. Not on the same page there as his man on the right side in Mateus Nunes. Jonathan is talking about City. How many players you think will leave City this transfer window? I think with contracts run down and sell on, around 8 players. Well, it all depends because, you know, it depends on how much money they're going to have. If they're not selling many's a player, you know, could financial fair play come into conversation? How much money will City have to spend to buy new players? Of course, they spent in the January window, made a couple of signings in January, so how much money will they have to spend in the summer? We've seen recently the Florian Wirtz conversation that's been humming and hawing around the transfer talk and the transfer kind of gossip. The Manchester City were high up on that list, and maybe the £100 million mark reared its head, and maybe Manchester City just stepped out. They're now out of that conversation, according to the reports, that Man City don't want to get into the conversation with Florian Wirtz because maybe it's too much money. I don't know, but I don't think Man City will be splashing the cash too much in the summer. They'll make some signings, of course, they'll need to, but I don't think they'll be going to the highest echelons for prices for players this summer. I'll do that now, Jonathan. I was also having that. Thinking about that. At 2.5 minutes of the first half to go. City 2, Bournemouth 0. Omar Marmoush and Bernardo Silva, the two scorers. Kevin De Bruyne with an open goal. An empty net to find. Hitting the woodwork. Could have added a second much earlier for Manchester City. They have their second and want to be cruising to 3 points. Oh, my watch has just responded. I brought up the 2002-03 Manchester City FC season. It's been listening to me. Fascinating. Here's Araujo battling and does well. Or actually, he's going to be given a foul against him here on Oscar Vardiol. The referee's going to give him a yellow as well for Julian Araujo. I thought that was a good challenge, but referee didn't. See it again. Yeah, he's late. I would agree with that. Good decision by the referee. Julian Araujo into the book. Second Bournemouth defender to be booked tonight. His second yellow card of the season. Making his return to the side tonight. Julian Araujo for Bournemouth after he's had injury spells this season. Now Kevin De Bruyne over this free kick on the left hand side for City. 170 assists for De Bruyne. Can he add another one? De Bruyne. Oh, almost tried to make it a goal. Never mind an assist. Oh, the follow-up chance is bundled into the hands of Kepa. Kepa punched it away in the first one, and the follow-up almost find the net from, I think it's Mateo Kovacic, who had an effort from the edge of the box. See this again. De Bruyne going direct. punched away by Kepa, and the shot first time by Gundogan it was actually on the edge of the box, struck it sweetly. Almost got away past Kepa. Pep Guardiola raising up the crowd. Man City putting on a show at the moment. Pep Guardiola loving what he's seeing from his side. 2 minutes of additional time at the end of the first half for you then. Bournemouth just not able to stain anything so far. Zabarnyi, the ball over the top again. Just simply fizzled out by Akanji and thumped away by Edison. Marmoush beaten to it by Araujo. Bournemouth might want to try and nick one before half-time to give themselves any sort of belief. Here's Araujo again. Low cross. Kluivert! Well charged down, and the follow-up cleared only as far as Cook, though. Kirkes. A little bit of a deflection. Tavernier over the bar. Goal kick. Yeah, it was good work down the right side by Bournemouth. Good ball by Adams, fed it down the right channel for Araujo, who cut it back across the box. And a little bit of a scramble. Kluivert tried to shoot, blocked, and then the deflection fed out to the edge. Cook recycled and ended up, the shot from Kluivert was well over the bar in the follow-up, but not too bad. Decent response from Bournemouth, but barely had an opportunity all afternoon, or all evening so far. Jesus, if we've been going from the afternoon, it's been a long day. Swung out to the far side by Edison. Will be a Bournemouth throw. Last few seconds of the half. Kirkes. Back across to Zabarnyi. Now Araujo. And Adams, and that's half time. A first half to be remembered for Manchester City in Kevin De Bruyne's final home game in Sky Blue. It could have been a great first half for him. He almost got himself on the score sheets, but he hit the crossbar. Either side of that chance, it was Omar Marmoush and Bernardo Silva who found the net to give Manchester City a half-time lead above 2-0. We'll analyse that and a look ahead to the weekend for the final day when we come back. Welcome back to Premier League Live. Half-time at the Etihad Stadium. It's Manchester City 2 at Bournemouth 0 at the break. Omar Marmoush and Bernardo Silva, the two to find the net for Manchester City. Looks like they're cruising their way back up into the top 5 heading into the final day. They'll move up to 3rd with a win tonight. And a pretty supreme first half for Manchester City, dominating possession, dominating the chances. And finding the net certainly better than their opponents, because Bournemouth have not had many a clear-cut opportunity in that first half at Manchester City. Quite a few so far, and that is why they lead by 2-0 at the break. We'll analyse that first half now for you. And I mentioned it once or twice, maybe a couple of times in that first half, about why I think Manchester City have actually done better tonight than they did in the cup final. And I think it's simply down to they've been quicker moving the ball. I think for large parts of the cup final, although, yes, they conceded early and all of that, but I might have put them on the back foot. But in the first 15 minutes of the cup final, when they dominated Crystal Palace, they were just plodding the ball about, kind of a little bit lackadaisical, a little bit one this way, that way, this way, that way. It was just a little bit methodical, whereas tonight there's that little bit of zip, there's that little bit of pace, there's that little bit of extra tempo and intention in their movement and their passing. It's just giving them that extra little bit of kind of energy in the game and opening those spaces a lot more and finding those gaps in behind Bournemouth a lot quicker. They're not dilly-dallying on the ball, they're moving at 1-2 touch, faster movement, and as we say, it's one of the hardest things, if not the hardest thing to defend in football, is one-touch passing. You just can't stop it, because when a team gets it right, they're going to be incredibly tough to stop. And I think in parts tonight, Manchester City have done that really well. And in parts, again, they've had a few sloppy moments, a few sloppy passes where Bournemouth could have tried to capitalise and haven't. So it's one of those in the first half where, again, if that Omar Marmoush chance doesn't go in, we could be talking a different game here, because Omar Marmoush misses that chance and then Kevin De Bruyne hits the crossbar and City could be thinking something completely different to what they're thinking at half-time. But I think that's the fine margins of top-level football. Sometimes you do need a screamer to go in the top corner just to up your energy a little bit. And I think for Manchester City, it was a cracking goal, an absolute sensational goal by Omar Marmoush. A 0.02 XG on that shot. I mean, that's remarkable. Absolutely incredible effort by the Egyptian to give Manchester City the lead inside, what was it, 15 minutes? 14th minute that he found the net. Genuinely, I think my reaction's a little bit delayed because I genuinely couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I don't think it's the best goal I've ever seen. It's one of the best goals that we've seen this season. I would put it that high, but I don't think I wouldn't say it's the best goal ever. But it's such a great goal that I just was like, oh my god, like I genuinely couldn't believe until I saw it bounce out of the net again. That's how kind of harsh an effort it was. It hit the net and bounced back out, and that's when I went, oh my god, he's just scored from that sort of position, quite incredibly. A wonderful goal. And then the second goal, completely the opposite of that. It wasn't a long effort, it wasn't kind of just one random hit. It was calculated from City. They lose the ball high up the field, but they win it back quickly. They press Bournemouth into making a slight mistake. I wouldn't call it a mistake for Kirkes. I would say kind of pressured into trying making a forced pass. They forced him into that. They won the ball back, and they made advantage of it. A little bit lucky with Gundogan's touch. Not saying he can't make that touch, but it's not often that he does. Takes that touch, spins it around, rolls it back, and Bernardo Silva with a lovely finish into the bottom right corner. And I think the difference in the two goals is a very good thing for Manchester City, because it shows that when they're back at the top level, they can find goals from anywhere. The two glimpses of, you've got the star quality of a player shooting from about 30 yards to find the net, and then you have that real not methodical, that's the wrong word, but real precise passing movement. And we know Manchester City have. They pass teams to death. That's how they've found success previously. They pass you until they find a way into the net. And they do it so well, Manchester City. When they're on it, they're on it. And in that moment, for that second goal for Bernardo Silva to find the net, I think they were on it. For Bournemouth, again, a little bit weak, a little bit loose, just not quite at it. And when you're not quite at it, Manchester City can tear you apart. And so far, they've just looked supreme, Manchester City. But the one big talking point, forget about the two goals, it's Kevin De Bruyne hitting the crossbar. I mean, my goodness, this was a certain goal. Again, it was a good move. Nice work up the middle from the midfield. They feed it into Omar Marmoush. Just a little bit outside the 6-yard box, the width of the 6-yard box. See it again. Nice ball, feeds it into the 18-yard box, cuts it across. It is the perfect chance. Just fizzed across low and hard, and you think 2-0. He side foots it, but what he does is it bobbles a little bit and he catches the underside of the ball, De Bruyne. Whereas if he caught the upside, the top of the ball, he would have just side footed it into the net. But he caught the underside and it sliced up onto the crossbar. The difference in the XG there, I said it, Omar Marmoush's effort, 0.02 XG. Kevin De Bruyne's XG for that chance that he hit the crossbar, 0.82. So an 82% chance of that being a goal for Kevin De Bruyne, and just a 2% chance of Marmoush, and one of them scored a goal and one of them hit the post, or one of them hit the bar. Quite remarkable. But so far, so good for Manchester City. 2-0 up at the break, and looking to add more to their tally on their final home game of this season. And hopefully, for their point of view, that Kevin De Bruyne can get something, whether a goal or an assist, to cap off what has been a fantastic, fantastic career at Manchester City for Kevin De Bruyne. Jonathan says, Kevin, what teams do you support? I support Liverpool. Is my English team, and then my local team here in Northern Ireland is Cliftonville. Jonathan says, will you do championship games next season? Most definitely. We did championship at the start of the season. At the end of the season, we want to do it more consistently, but with the amount of football, with the Champions League and all that, but we will try our very, very best next season to do more championship games. I know you're a Wrexham fan, so we'll certainly be trying to keep Wrexham on the books. I would have no doubt they will be one of the key games for the opening weekend of the new season, Wrexham, so we'll keep an eye on that for you and let you know as soon as we possibly can when the fixtures come out and when the details come out in June, and we'll let you know about that. But yes, we are anticipating to do more championship next season. Right. Forget about next season for now. Let's talk about the remainder of this season, because we have two huge games. One huge game tomorrow night for you as we watch the 2025 Europa League final. Who will be getting that Champions League spot? Will it be Tottenham or Manchester United? Will it be 16th place Manchester United or 17th place Spurs? Who knows? Ange Postecoglou and Ruben Amorim's sides face off at San Mamés in Bilbao tomorrow, 8 o'clock here on LFS. And then this weekend is a big weekend as well, because we have the Premier League final day, Sunday, 3:30 for you here on LFS on Sunday. Looking forward to that. Really looking forward to the weekend. And we also have the Championship playoff final as well for you at the weekend, so lots to get your teeth into. I can confirm for you, after a little bit of checking and reviewing and just kind of tying the knots, getting everything tied up, we can confirm for you our feature game on Sunday will be Nottingham Forest against Chelsea. Who would have guessed it? The most exciting setup for the final day. That will be our feature game. We'll be watching that game at the City Ground, and we'll have updates from all around the grounds from every other game taking place at the same time. All kick off at 4 o'clock UK time on Sunday. We'll be live 30 minutes before kick off to look at the top 5 race, look at the season, look at the title winners, look at the relegated teams, everything that you want to know and learn. We will have it all for you on Sunday 3:30, as I say, including all the updates from the other 10 games, which include Bournemouth against Leicester, Fulham against Man City, Ipswich West Ham, Liverpool the champions against Crystal Palace, the FA Cup winners, Man United against Aston Villa, Newcastle against Everton, Forest against Chelsea of course, Southampton against Arsenal, Tottenham v Brighton, and Wolves against Brentford are the 10 Premier League games on the final day. That's all to come on Sunday afternoon. As I was saying about the Championship playoff final, that's on Saturday at 3 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check. It is Saturday at 3 o'clock, the Championship playoff final. Who will get that final spot in the Premier League next season? Will it be Sheffield United or will it be Sunderland? We will find out at Wembley on Saturday. So massive games, massive occasions, and so much to look forward to, certainly, over this week. And then one big game to come. After all of this week's done and dusted, we'll have one more game to bring you, and that will be the showpiece event of the season. The 2025 Champions League final is next Saturday, the 31st of May, at PSG against Inter Milan, there at the Allianz Arena in Munich. Jonathan says, dislikes City, but De Bruyne is a legend. He is indeed. My hometown is Wrexham. Prem team is Man United. Oh, but that will change once Wrexham get there. I was going to say that. What if Wrexham get to the Prem? Who do you choose? But, yeah, fair enough. Well, you never know. They could be joining us in the Premier League for the 26-27 season. Jesus, that's a long way away. But you never know. You wouldn't bet against Wrexham. I certainly would not. Right, second half between Manchester City and Bournemouth is on the way in just a moment. Do stay with us. Welcome back to Premier League Live. The second half of the Etihad's on the way in just a moment. The other game tonight taking place at Sellers Park. The FA Cup winners Crystal Palace are leading Wolves by 2-1. It was Emmanuel Agbadou that gave Wolves the lead in the first half, but 2 goals from Eddie Nketiah has made it 2-1 to Crystal Palace, and they are looking to head to their highest ever points tally in Premier League history for that for Crystal Palace. It would be 52 points they would be on after 37 games if they can see out the victory tonight. Already across the weekend, Villa 2-0 winners against Spurs. Chelsea 1-up against Man United. Everton in their final game at Goodison won by 2-0 against Southampton. 2-1 for Forest as they hung on away at West Ham. It was a win away from home for Fulham away at Brentford. Leicester 2-0 winners against fellow relegated Ipswich. Arsenal 1-0 winners against Newcastle. And Brighton last night beating the champions Liverpool by 3-2. That was a great game in that one at the Amex Stadium last night. And if you're ever so interested in Liverpool content, I do currently work with Red Rondo TV, the new independent Liverpool website and YouTube channel, and they're available on all socials at Red Rondo LFC or at Red Rondo TV on a couple of there, and you'll get my reaction, my post-match reaction to Liverpool's defeat away at Brighton last night. I think that should be up anytime soon. So if you want to go and check that out, that would be greatly appreciated. Don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on post notifications if you haven't done so already here on LFS tonight. We're well on our way to 27,000 subscribers, and we would love to get there before the end of the season. That might be a bit optimistic, but you never know. There's every chance. Every chance indeed, and we'll see as we get ready for the second half here at the Etihad. We're underway again. Man City leading by 2-0 at the break, by the way. If you didn't know that already, and if you can't read the scoreline at the top of the screen, Omar Marmoush and Bernardo Silva to the 2 scorers. We haven't talked much about Rodri back in the City squad tonight, of course, for the first time since he got injured here at the Etihad back in September with that 2-2 draw over Arsenal that get him the ACL injury that ended his season, basically. That was the 22nd of September, which, if I'm not mistaken, was Matchday 5 of the season. I'll have to double check, but I do believe that was Matchday 5 of the season. It was so early, losing such a crucial player, and we knew at the time how kind of detrimental and how impactful that could be to Manchester City's season, losing such a massive figure in Rodri in that midfield. And good to see him back. You never want to see a player injured, of course, certainly not the quality of Rodri, and I'm sure the City fans will be happy to see him on the bench tonight. Whether he will get any sort of minutes is another question. But if I was Pep Guardiola, I wouldn't be rushing to bring him on if I don't need to. Of course, they've got the Club World Cup to worry about in June and July, City, so any bit of rest their players can get, they will take it. Kirkes with a cross. The header is very well wide by Evan Nielsen in the middle. Yeah, nice idea by Milos Kirkes there. Trying to find Evan Nielsen in the middle, but just didn't quite get his header right. The Bournemouth number 9 on that occasion. There's the man, Rodri, who we were just talking about. It's great to see him back. Such a top-class player. Such an incredible player. So crucial, crucial in the Manchester City team. And the way that Pep Guardiola wants to play, his impact is immense. Absolutely immense. And they barely ever lost with Rodri in the side. Certainly. He was their stalwart figure. Their leader in a sense. Here's Akanji. Gundogan back to Akanji now. I'd say the top of the agenda for Manchester City and their teammates, his teammates, will be to get Kevin De Bruyne a goal or an assist tonight. Ideally a goal, but an assist will have to do but they will certainly want De Bruyne on the score sheet in some capacity tonight in this final game at the Etihad as a City player. Here is Kevin De Bruyne. Nunez, a little bit loose, but City have the recovery to win it back with Kovacic. Marmoush back to Kovacic again. Just nice and calm movement and possession, although that's cheaply given away by Gundogan. And now Brooks, this half-time substitute for Bournemouth, springs away, almost squeezing it through for Tavernier down that left side, and just couldn't quite find it through. Justin Kluivert, by the way, did come off at half-time for David Brooks, so whether that's an injury, we're not too sure, but that did happen at half-time, so Bournemouth with that change at the break. David Brooks on for Justin Kluivert. Bournemouth working it nicely here. Kirkes. Tavernier. And that left side, back to Howson. Threads it through for Tavernier, rolls it on wide to Kirkes on the overlap. Chops it back, trying to find Tavernier again, but well cut out. Back there by Mateo Kovacic. And as Bernardo Silva tried to break away, just fouled by Marcus Tavernier. I love the optimism, Jonathan. I love the optimism, that's all I'll say. Ruben Dias is over this free kick, as is Bernardo Silva. It will be Kovacic that will just roll it to Bernardo Silva. Back to Kovacic again, who will return it back to Edison. A free kick that is a little bit more complicated than it needed to be from City on that occasion. Indeed it does, Jonathan, indeed it does. And that's what you want. Look at what we've seen this season. Newcastle, their first trophy in 70 years. Crystal Palace, their first ever major trophy. That's what football's all about. Dreams can come true, as they say. Nunez to hit one. And well over the bar. Yeah. Nowhere near in the same conversation as Omar Marmoush's effort. Similar positions, but very different outcomes. Edison kicks long again. Flick on by Semenyo is just easily dealt with, and Played back by Akanji to Edison. Gotta say, I've got a really itchy nose tonight. It's really annoying me. I don't know whether I have hay fever or not. I don't think I do, but it's just itchy. I don't know what it is. Really annoying. Here's Ilkay Gundogan. Right to Vardiol. Now that I've mentioned that it's itchy, it's making it worse. It's now on my mind, and it's making me more paranoid. More conscious of it. Free kick to Manchester City there. Antoine Semenyo was fouled. Gundogan. Bursting to try and find a way down that left side, and Semenyo in his way again. Another free kick to Manchester City here. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to try and blow my nose. Back in 2 minutes. Should be a sorted night. My goodness. All the drama of the day. Bernardo Silva wins a throw-in off Antoine Semenyo. Not as much intensity at the start of the second half as there was in the first, but again, City 2-0 up. They probably don't need to up it as much as they did in the first. Still popping it around nicely. So Kanji out to Vardiol, who was tussling with Julian Araujo. And Araujo wins the free kick. Back to talking about Kevin De Bruyne, because why not? Kevin De Bruyne, 283 Premier League appearances for Manchester City. 284 tonight. Scored 74 Premier League goals as De Bruyne almost made it 73 Premier League goals there as he was squeezing through. Erling Haaland was involved as well. It was nice he won back off Tavernier by Bernardo Silva. Threaded it through for Haaland. And then Haaland blocked off by Zabarni and the ball falls to De Bruyne, whose effort was deflected behind for a corner. De Bruyne's corner. Right-footed delivery. Flicked on by Akanji. Bouncing down. Still alive as Ruben Dias tried to scrapple for it. But it bounces out for a goal kick. Another goal at Sellers Park to tell you about. Crystal Palace have extended their lead now. Ben Chilwell on the score sheet. Giving Palace a 3-1 lead against Wolves. So it looks like Palace are going to get their highest ever points tally in a Premier League season tonight, with one game to spare away at Liverpool on Sunday. Again, what a party atmosphere it will be at Anfield on Sunday. Liverpool going to lift the Premier League title, and Crystal Palace the newly crowned FA Cup champions. I mean, what an atmosphere it will be at Anfield on Sunday afternoon. That will be a game we'll be certainly keeping a very close eye on Sunday. But of course, our feature game is Nottingham Forest against Chelsea. Don't worry, we will have that one as well. Jonathan says Wrexham 2-0 Liverpool, first game in season 26-27 opening game. Well, Liverpool like to play newly promoted sides at the start of the season. I mean, how many seasons in a row we played a newly promoted side of Liverpool? I mean, we played Ipswich away there at the start of this season. Fulham a few seasons ago. It was Norwich as well, and who else was it? The opening weekend of the season. Was it Brentford? No. Can't remember, but Liverpool love to play the newly promoted sides at the start of each season. Here's Milos Kirkes. Early cross, and David Brooks wasn't too far away from reaching it. Bournemouth substitute, almost trying to get them a goal back. He's mere inches away from doing it, and it's Kirkes again with that early cross. Lovely cross. And David Brooks was almost finding it. See it again, it bubbles up. bounces, and as it bounces up, he's stretching, and it's a few inches away from the right boot of David Brooks, and that could have got Bournemouth a goal back. And that's why Milos Kerkez is certainly of high interest around the Premier League. One of those interested are Manchester City, Liverpool as well, amongst a few others I would say as well. Bernardo Silva, nice through ball, firing Haaland. He got Marmoush running off the back of him, couldn't quite find him. He does lay it off to Vardiol, and now De Bruyne. De Bruyne rolled it through right at Araujo, and Adams flicking it out to Brooks. A bit of space here for David Brooks to burst away. Played it on to Evan Nielsen. Brooks got it back, linking it up well with Tavernier down the left. It's nicer from Bournemouth. Kerkez to Tavernier again, inside to Brooks. He's got Evan Nielsen forward. He's got Araujo at the back post, surrounded by a few. So he lays it off to Cook, and now out to Kerkez. Back to Cook. Bournemouth playing it a little bit sharper now. Since David Brooks has come on at half-time, they looked a little bit sharper in their passing. Higher up the field, he's linking it all up at the minute, is David Brooks. Clearly something Andone Iraola has spotted at half-time. David Brooks can offer Bournemouth in an attacking sense. Here's Cook. Adams. Has to turn it back to Zabarnyi. Straight through to Brooks. Now Cook. Back to Brooks. Kerkez laying it out wide to Dean Howson. Striding inside is Howson. Finding options. Lays it off to Adams. Tyler Adams rolls it round the corner to Evan Nielsen, who's found Semenyo. Edge of the box. Antoine Semenyo trying to break a little bit of space. He's got the shot off, but the shot is just over the bar. He opened up the space nicely, Antoine Semenyo. Stepped inside, continued inside until he found a shooting chance. And he just took that extra yard, and once it showed, Guardiola tracked him all the way. And the shot was sliced wide by Antoine Semenyo. Again, good intention. Execution just lacked a little bit of accuracy from Antoine Semenyo, but it was better from Bournemouth. A little bit better from them. Loose header there from Dean Howson. Now he's sitting to break away, and here's De Bruyne. Arriving into the box, De Bruyne across. But nicely gathered by Kepa. Tries to set Bournemouth off again. They're in a decent spell here, the visitors. Trying to find that goal back to get their chances of a comeback alive. Deep early cross again. Beautifully touched by Semenyo, but well defended by his opposite number, Joško Vardiol, who puts it out for a throw. Zabarnyi. Threaded through ball. Nicely held up by Evan Nielsen. Here's Brooks. Surrounded by two. Got the pass off to Cook. Now finds Tavernier. Breaking into a little gap. There's Brooks. Was enticed by Tavernier and given away by Tavernier. And now City want to break away. Bernardo Silva. Crossing the halfway line. Not incredible pace in their breakaway there. City, and Silva swings it back out wide to Mateus Nunes. As we hit the hour mark inside the Etihad. Manchester City 2, Bournemouth 0. Bernardo Silva being hounded by Tyler Adams there, who felt he was taking a few liberties. Bournemouth man, because he was dilly-dallying on the ball there. Bernardo Silva. Gundogan through the lines. Marmoush! Well shot, stopped by Dean Howson. Out for the throw. Taken quickly. Gundogan. Vardiol. Back to Ilkay Gundogan. City wanting out a third. Just to alleviate any sort of pressure they've come under in the last 5 minutes from Bournemouth. As there's the man who returns. Rodri is out and warming up on the sidelines and met with a rousing applause and standing ovation from the City fans. And here they want to try and find a third goal. Bernardo Silva. Nunes. Ruben Dias. Tess Nunes now. Has to spin it back to Manuel Akanji. So far in the second half, it's been much more even, possession and shots-wise. 2 shots apiece and 54 to 46% possession in Manchester City's favour. So it's fairly even in the stats side of things. City with that 2-goal lead. It's Bournemouth with it all to do. They're to change the outcome. Here is Marmoush holding on to it well, trying to find Haaland. Nicely intercepted by Huyson. And Tavernier sets off Brooks down the left-hand side. It's 2-on-2 here for Bournemouth. It's Brooks trying to get it across to Evan Nielsen. Felt he was fouled by Brooks there, but no foul, said the referee Tom Bramall. And City win the ball back 3 Edison anyway. There's just more outlet for Bournemouth, I'd say, with David Brooks in the second half. There's just more space, there's more energy and getting it forward. Not that Kluivert wasn't doing well enough, it's just a different dynamic for Bournemouth. Ruben Dias to Kovacic. Finding it to De Bruyne. Wide to Vardy, inside to Gundogan. Now De Bruyne. Trying to go with the 1-2. Marmoush relays it off to Haaland, who spins his man. And Huyson was beaten, but Zabarnyi wasn't. Will be a City corner. And that's the centre-back partnership. If one doesn't get it right, the other has to step across and cover for him. And that's exactly what Ilya Zabarnyi did it. And helping Dean Huyson there, who was absolutely sent to the shops by Erling Haaland, who almost pulled it off. And he knows it himself there. You can see it in his face. A smile. De Bruyne takes the corner short. Excuse me. Gundogan. Back to Kovacic. Now across to Marmoush. Will hit another one. And took another deflection. Will be another corner. Yeah, nicely squared across by Gundogan onto the on-running Marmoush, whose shot was deflected as he hit it and went behind for another Manchester City corner. City's 4th corner of the night. A 3rd of the second half, by the way. De Bruyne to take it again. They will miss these types of deliveries. Well, these home fans. De Bruyne, right-footed, out swinging over the head of Akanji. Ball bounces down to Nunes. Gets it out wide to Gundogan. And now De Bruyne. There's a few things, I believe, organised post-match for Kevin De Bruyne. Some celebrations and some plans. Obviously to round off what has been a remarkable 10 years at the Etihad for Kevin De Bruyne. "25 minutes to go. Manchester City 2, Bournemouth 0. Here is De Bruyne breaking through, finding Gundogan. Gundogan a little bit heavy on the ball, but he somehow held it away from Semenyo. And that was great endeavour by the experienced midfielder. Here's Akanji. Gundogan to Bernardo Silva. Another goal at Sellers Park, by the way, to tell you. Wolves have got another one back, or got one back. It's Crystal Palace 3, Wolves 2. So they're back in the game, Wolves. Maybe it's not a foregone conclusion for Crystal Palace. Jorgen Strand Larsen with the goal. So Palace 3, Wolves 2 with 25 minutes to go in that one. Jonathan says De Bruyne deserves everything he gets tonight. 100%. He deserves immense praise. No doubt probably go down as one of the best Premier League midfielders ever. Oh, mistake there, and a little tug by Mateo Kovacic, and he could see red here. He is going to see red. He left it late. He was last man, and that is going to see Mateo Kovacic sent to the stands. Pep Guardiola has absolutely booted something on the sidelines. I think he's booted a drinks box. He's gone nuts. It is a red card. It's very clumsy from Mateo Kovacic. And maybe the little shine on what could be City's final, it is City's final home game of the season, the shine that was emerging might just be dissipating. Again, it's a terrible a terrible pass by Vardiol back to his defenders. I mean, he doesn't look when he does it, so he puts Kovacic in an awful position, and Kovacic just has to take one for the team, because he's never reaching, he's never catching Evan Nielsen, and he's seen red. And he's waiting around, I don't know what for. Maybe a VAR check, but it looked pretty definitive and clear to me. And maybe the game isn't done. There's another twist in this tale, maybe. Mateo Kovacic off. Red card has been confirmed by the VAR. Paul Tierney. Pep Guardiola speaking to his player, covering his mouth in doing so, so we don't know what he said, or we can't gather what he said. And it's going to be the end of Kevin De Bruyne's night. A night that he will remember for a long time. His final ever appearance at the Etihad Stadium in the sky blue of Manchester City. His teammates are each giving him a hug and embracing him, and the crowd of thousands singing his song inside the Etihad Stadium. A wave of goodbye, a decade of superb play in midfield from Kevin De Bruyne, one of the best to ever do it in this league. And Kevin De Bruyne says goodbye to a club he has so undoubtedly made 10 times better. Kevin De Bruyne, once in a generation midfielder. Fabulous player. Might not get his fairy tale ending of a goal or an assist tonight, but he's played just under 70 minutes and has played beautifully. Here Bournemouth try and want to make advantage of the man now, and almost getting the ball across there, Kirkes. Well, Jonathan, I wouldn't bet against it. By the way, Kevin De Bruyne did come off there for Nico Gonzalez, so a straight swap in midfield. A little bit more of a defensive midfielder, Nico Gonzalez, so I think they will just offer that little bit more stability that would have been lost by the fact that Mateo Kovacic has been sent off. And Bournemouth have made a change. Adam Smith has come on in replace of Julian Araujo, so Araujo just getting back to full fitness and is not playing the full 90. Just another 70 for him. So it's changes for both sides. 20 minutes to go. Bournemouth 2-0 down. With the extra man advantage, could they make it count and try and take something out of this game and maybe make it a little bit more difficult for City to get top 5. Here they come. Here's Kirkes, but he's offside. Yeah. I think Bournemouth need a goal quickly. If they're going to put pressure on Manchester City here, they need to score within the next few minutes. As Jonathan in the chat says there, they need if this red card and Bournemouth score quick, City season done. A cave-in is what Jonathan is predicting. Well, City do drop points if they do drop points tonight, they will be on 66 points with a draw, Manchester City, which would have them level on points with Newcastle, Chelsea and Villa, but they would have the best goal difference of those four combined teams, so they would still stay in third, but a defeat would see them sit in 6th, outside of the top 5 by a point, and hoping that other results go their way at the weekend. But again, no need to talk about that conversation because they're still 2-0 up and looking like they're going to see it out for the victory. That's the way it looks. But Bournemouth need to move and move quickly if they're going to give City a little bit to be worried about in the final 20 minutes here of their season at the Etihad Stadium. Semenyo. Already done it to City once, Bournemouth. Beating them. Could they do the league double over them for the first time ever? That's never been a conversation before. They've never beaten them before earlier in the season, so they never had the chance to do a league double over them. Not 18 minutes to go with the extra man. They could have the chance tonight, but I don't know if City give up 3 goals. But we'll see what Bournemouth can conjure up. Here's Adam Smith. Early cross again, headed clear. Taken down by Adams, who was trying to close down Haaland. A little bit of a mess up there by Milos Kirkes. And Haaland tried to squeeze it through. And Adams scrambling to win it back. And does so. And actually, a little bit late there. And the referee has a decision to make. It's going to be another red card. And it's going to be for Lewis Cook. City down to 10. And so are Bournemouth now. And the City player that was fouled is down. And Bournemouth are now down to 10. And that, any hope of their comeback, has just been diminished. As Lewis Cook's been sent off. What in the goodness me. Adams makes a good challenge and then Cook. What is he doing there? That is horrendous. Lewis Cook. I mean, what are you up to? There's just an awful decision. I mean, what are you doing going in studs up like that? That's awful. Awful. And Nico Gonzalez is the one that's the... I mean, he's shaking his head, Lewis Cook, but my goodness, look at yourself. See that replay and tell me then that that's not a red, because that is a blatant red card. That's awful. Awful. From an experienced player who held the captain's armband starting tonight. Well, with Bournemouth with a chance. With a chance. Down to City down to 10. 15 to go. They were on the ascendancy, Bournemouth. And they all just got to come crashing down with a silly little mistake by themselves. And by an experienced player in Lewis Cook. Bournemouth manager, the Bournemouth player shakes their heads, but when they see this back, it is definitely a red card. I'm sorry to tell you, but there's no disputing it. It is a nailed-on red card, and it's just not necessary. What's the need? Just what's the need? See this again. It's absolutely dreadful challenge. I mean, the fact that he actually jumps, he lifts his whole body off the turf. He jumps into the challenge with his studs showing. I mean, what do you expect to happen? What do you expect the referee to do? Oh, no, it's a fair challenge. No! Any referee worth their salt would give a red card. That's exactly what the referee has done. And he's completely correct. Terrible. It's just now made this game a little bit dead now to the final whistle. We don't have the De Bruyne storyline, and both teams are now down to 10, so they'll both not want to go for it. Because what's the need? And Bournemouth will try and go for it, but there'll be no need. There'll be no point. It's 10v10 now. I didn't believe they could find a way back at 11v11, so... But they do, and have, scored the most goals after the 76th minute this season of any Premier League side. In the final 15 minutes of games, 18 goals they've scored, Bournemouth. In the final 15 minutes of games, so... It is their forte, as you say, to score late. Find late comebacks, but don't know if they're going to do it here. Well, there certainly would have been some nail biters with Bournemouth With Man City going down to 10, a few of the home crowd would have been going, oh, a little bit nervy. That red card for Bournemouth surely settled those nerves once again, and City are popping it around now. Here's Vardiol. Thanks very much for the support, Jonathan. Have a good evening. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow night for a cracking one. The 2025 Europa League final. Tottenham against Manchester United, 16th against 17th in the Premier League in that Europa League final for a place in the Champions League next season. Tomorrow, 8 o'clock. And a trophy, of course. Tomorrow, 8 o'clock on LFS from San Mamés in Bilbao. Never commentated on a game in that stadium before. Certainly done a few Spurs and Man United games, I'll tell you that much. I remember doing a cup game? Can't remember if it might have been the League Cup. Was it a quarter-final? Tottenham and Man United, and it was that 4-3 or 4-2 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It was a mental game. I'm hoping if it's anything like that tomorrow night, we'll be set up for an absolute stormer. It's just got a little bit loose now. This game, as you would probably expect, both teams down to 10. There's just that extra little bit of uncertainty between the two sides. Just that lack of cohesion and control. And let's not forget, if Bournemouth do get a goal back, the game is still on. They're trying it here. Brooks to Kirkez. Kirkez trying to hold it, and held it far too long and was closed down by Nico Gonzalez. As Diaz scrambles it away, only as far as Adams. Takes it under his control and feeds it back to Kepa. Ooh, Kepa collided with Erling Haaland there. Got the ball away. It's far from convincing, that. And now Gonzalez. City want to add a third here to wrap up this evening. Bernardo Silva with the ball roll. On to Gonzalez at the byline. Nico Gonzalez trying to find a way through, but well cleared away by Brooks that time, who was tracking back. But City win it back again. 11 minutes to go. Manchester City 2, Bournemouth 0. Before we leave you tonight, we'll show you the league table and what we can look forward to for the weekends. In the top 5 race, we'll tell you what sort of permutations will be needed. And we'll be live Sunday 3:30 for the final game of the season. The final games of the season, as Erling Haaland was fouled by Adam Smith right on the edge of the D, and that's going to get Manchester City a free kick in a very promising area. Yeah, see it again. Haaland steps across Smith, and Smith just body checks him. Yeah, it's definitely a foul. And if they do win tonight, Manchester City, it will be their 20th win of the season, meaning only Liverpool would have won more games than Manchester City this season. They would go level on wins with Newcastle, who also have 20. It will be Bournemouth's 12th defeat of the season. It would confirm that they wouldn't be able to get 8th a defeat here tonight. They could still win and finish 9th, but could finish 9th as their highest finishing position for the remainder of the season. Which won't be enough for Europe, of course. Who knows, even 8th might not be, depending on whether Chelsea win the Conference League or not. It looks like Rodri's going to be coming on. Not just yet, though, after this free kick, surely. Marmouche over it. He's already scored a screamer tonight. That was a little bit further out. This is around about 25 yards. Marmouche steps up, hits it, but hits it over the bar. Well, I gotta say, I don't think the City supporters were actually watching that free kick. They were more focused on Pep Guardiola talking to Rodri on the sidelines. They're that excited to see Rodri back, they didn't even have a look at the free kick that was being taken on the field. That's a nice touch by Kierkegaard. Picking up good pockets of space, Kierkegaard, and linking up with Evan Nielsen, but Evan Nielsen couldn't find the return ball to the Hungarian. It's dealt with by City. Nicely chested down by Zabarnyi. Smith down the sideline, but nicely shielded, and well shielded by Gundogan. Gonzalez under pressure. Throw in to Manchester City. And let's see it then. It's going to be now. It is going to be now. And it's going to see Rodri returning for the first time since the 22nd of September. Rodri returns to this fainted pitch. A return from an ACL injury. They were not meant to see him until at least next season. Well, it's credit to Rodri and the recovery team that he's back. 2 games to spare in this season, and he replaces Erling Haaland for the final 8 minutes or so of this one. Bournemouth are going to make a change of their own at this juncture. Milos Kerkez is coming off, and coming on in his place is I'm not too sure, I didn't see the number. It is Julio Soler is in replacement of him, and Evan Nielsen also makes way, by the way, and he's been replaced by Daniel Jebbison. So Jebbison and Soler on, replacing Kierkegaard and Evan Nielsen for Bournemouth. Welcome in, Jacob. Good to have you with us. Adams. He was out wide to Cook. Nice Semenyo. Driving inside, trying to give Bournemouth any sort of lifeline here. Huyson out wide to Soler. Back to Huyson. Soler again. Inside to Tavernier. Moving it around nicely, our Bournemouth. 10v10 at the Etihad for the final few minutes of this one, as Soler tries to use his fresh legs to cause a bit of an extra threat, but nicely cut out by Rodri with his first involvement. But Bournemouth back on the ball. Brooks nicely seen out. Ruben Dias helping and flicking over the top to Omar Marmoush. Up against Zabarnyi, steps across Zabarnyi, Omar Marmoush. But the cover being provided by Tyler Adams to win it back for Bournemouth. Zabarnyi. Smith. Down the channel, looking for the ball towards Jebbison. Blocked out by Akanji. Jebbison tiptoed it back into the path of Semenyo. Wasn't convincing defending there from Manuel Akanji. Tavernier more central. Right to Huyson. Down the line to Julio Soler. Now Tavernier. Bournemouth need to get it towards the box. City shielding that well. Out of possession. 5 minutes of the 90 to go. Bournemouth with the almost impossible task. Trying to get something out of this game. 2-0 down with 5 minutes to go. Smith to Brooks. Nice link up with Semenyo from Brooks there. Here he is. To Tavernier. Out wide to Soler. Body's in the box. Soler doesn't want to go for the cross. Adams doesn't either. Brooks has it. Central. Rolls it on to Tavernier. And now out wide to Soler, who will cross it this time. And the deflection off Bernardo Silva will take it for a Bournemouth corner. Nice and patient from Bournemouth. And that, believe it or not, is their first corner of the game. And David Brooks will come over and take it. Get one here and you never know. Brooks with a deep delivery. Huyson was closest, but away by Diaz. And now maybe a counter-attack on has stepped in to the Bournemouth players. And they win it back through Dean Huyson. Gets it out wide to Soler. Brooks skipping past his man. Brooks at the byline, edging into the box, looking for the cutback. It's a good idea, but neither of the two players that were in the 18-yard box in Bournemouth colours were in that sort of position or in the penalty area. Tavernier swings it out to the far side for Smith. They're still trying, Bournemouth. Haven't given up hope yet. City maybe just trying to shut up shop now. Brooks, nice turn by Tavernier, but turned into trouble. And now flicked over the top by Bernardo Silva as Marmoush comes, and the keeper is completely clean of his goal, but luckily for Kepa, he had cover because he was in no man's land, and Omar Marmoush could have had a clean goal to shoot at. He was close. Kepa, what are you doing? What was he doing there, the Bournemouth keeper? As that's going to be a yellow card for Marcus Tavernier. He handled the ball and then kicked it away. Look at this from Kepa. I mean, he's high up, and we can understand why he would come forward for it, but he's just too slow. Far too slow. He's very lucky that there was cover, because he was in no man's land. There, the Bournemouth keeper. And Marcus Tavernier gets himself a yellow card for handling the ball inadvertently and then kicking it away thereafter. So a yellow card. 215 live games next season on the main broadcaster in the UK. So I would say overall I think it's 260 something games, 270 games that are broadcast in the UK. There's 380 games in the Premier League, so 2/3 of them will be live next season. Here's a chance. The shot! The goal from Nico Gonzalez! That's the cherry on the icing on top of the cake for Manchester City. And they're going to finish their home season with a win at the Etihad against the side who gave them early pain at the start of this campaign. And it's going to be putting Bournemouth to the sword of Manchester City. And it's Nico Gonzalez on the score sheet to do it. Manchester City 3, Bournemouth 0. And that at the right time. Just to really end any sort of relaying Bournemouth hope of a comeback. 3-0. Again, it's Bournemouth committing bodies so high that the ball over the top is nicely worked into Gonzalez. He does well to spin away around Smith, and then the shot is really nice past Kepa. Again, it's Bournemouth committing so high, they've got nothing to lose, and then they commit too many bodies forward. They don't have enough at the back, and Nico Gonzalez with a fabulous little finish to make it 3-0. And to wrap it all up. Speaking of wrapping it all up, it looks like Crystal Palace have just done that against Wolves. They've added a fourth to their tally, so they're now leading by 4-2, are the newly crowned FA Cup winners. It's lovely from Nico Gonzalez, that finish. He came on in replacement of Kevin De Bruyne. That was an ample goal. Kevin De Bruyne-esque, I would say. Bournemouth try the ball over the top to Semenyo. Tracked by Gvardiol. Beaten to it was Gvardiol by Semenyo. 6 added minutes. Bournemouth still swinging them into the box. Anything here surely will be a consolation. And their hopes of an 8th place finish are gone. And European football will not be coming to Vitality. The Vitality Stadium, sorry. But there's a very high chance now that there will be Champions League nights returning to the Etihad next season. They would sit in 3rd, 2 points clear of 6th place heading into the final day, knowing even a point could be enough, considering their goal difference. Away at Fulham on the final day could be enough to get them a top 5 finish. Changes here for Pep Guardiola's side in the final few minutes. A double change. It's going to be Omar Marmoush, who opened the scoring tonight so incredibly with his rocket of an effort into the top left corner. Fabulous goal. That opened the scoring for City tonight. He's going to be replaced. as will Bernardo Silva and okay, Gundogan, I believe, as well. So Jeremy Doku is on. They're making a triple change, so I'll get the full details for you in a second. Jack Grealish is on as well, as is Doku. I'm trying to see who the third one was for City. I'm not too sure. As Bournemouth get us back underway, I'll tell you in a second. It's Oscar Bob. So Jeremy Doku, Oscar Bob and Jack Grealish all on, replacing Ilkay Gundogan, Bernardo Silva and of course Omar Marmoush. With just around 4 minutes to go with the season, at home for Manchester City, they will end it on a high. It will be their 13th home win of the season. Again, only Liverpool will have won more home games, with 14. Of course, they will have one home game left to go in their season, will Liverpool at the weekend. But Manchester City, 42 points they will have picked up at home, which will be 1 more than Chelsea, 2 more than Aston Villa, and 3 more than Arsenal in their home forms this season. It will be Bournemouth's only their 5th away defeat of the season for Bournemouth. They actually have a very good away record. Only Liverpool, Forest and Arsenal have picked up more points on the road than Bournemouth this season. So they had a good away record, but not a good record away tonight for Bournemouth. And their hopes of a comeback when City went down to 10 were quickly diminished when they saw the same fate, and the same fate, shall I say, when Lewis Cook was shown red in response to a red for Mateo Kovacic. Smith feeding it in behind for David Brooks, but nicely dealt with by Manuel Akanji, who ushers it out for the goal kick. Confidently dealt with there by Manuel Akanji. We will show you the league table before we leave you tonight and round up all of the scores. So Matchday 37 as we get ready for the final day on Sunday afternoon. Remember, Sunday 3:30. We'll be live from 3:30. Kick off at 4 o'clock in all 10 Premier League games to round off the season. Semenyo down the line, finding Adams there. It's just gone out of play for a throw-in. I'm going to try a long throw here with Antoine Semenyo, Bournemouth. As I say, anything now is a consolation. Long throw into the box by Semenyo, flicked away by a City player. Adams trying to feed it back in, but it's way by Joško Vardiol. Out for another Bournemouth throw. 90 seconds to go. Bournemouth might have some recruiting to do. As I say, Dean Howson going for £50 million to Real Madrid, and will Milos Kirkez be joining him in going elsewhere? Bournemouth and Andone Iraola will have foundations that are so solid to build on for next season, and maybe a European push could be within the sights of Bournemouth come next season. But again, doesn't take away from the job that Andone Iraola's done for Bournemouth this season. Still an incredible campaign for them. A season that could have promised so much more, but on the grand scheme of things, it's not a bad season by any stretch of the imagination for Bournemouth, beating their Premier League points record for the 2nd season running under Andone Iraola. So they're going onwards and upwards, it seems. The Cherries. And they might have a glimpse of a late consolation here with Daniel Jebison. Good save by Edison, but the ball finds the back of the net. And Bournemouth get a goal in the dying embers of this one. As I say, it's only a consolation, but Manchester City's clean sheet is no more. Again, it's a poor ball back. It's wasteful. It's like the one to Kovacic way earlier on. It's awful back pass. This time I'm trying to see who it was, but Ruben Dias has nowhere to go, has no chance, and the defending there is absolutely awful for Manchester City. And Bournemouth get a goal. Leaky, if anything, for Manchester City there. Grealish. 6 minutes are up, but referee will probably add another 20-30 seconds. No, no more. The game is done and dusted. A Manchester City season at home comes to an end with a win. And in the end, it could have looked a little bit more complicated, but they made it look supremely easy at times tonight, Manchester City. Omar Marmoush and Bernardo Silva on the score sheet gave them a 2-goal lead at half-time. When it looked like Bournemouth were trying to get back into the game, Mateo Kovacic saw red with a last-man challenge. And really, it wasn't really his fault because he was in an awful position, which was put in his place by Joshua Vardiol. He was shown red. No sooner later was Lewis Cook shown red for Bournemouth, which levelled things again before Nico Gonzalez, with minutes remaining, gave City a third, and Bournemouth got a late consolation through Daniel Jebison. That's the story of the game. Manchester City end it with a win, and they have one more to go to get Champions League back at the Etihad. 2 points clear of 6th with just one game remaining. City, they can almost taste it, but it's not done just yet. Final score from the Etihad Stadium, it's finished Manchester City 3, Bournemouth 1. And there you are. The results of the 10 games of Matchday 37. That Crystal Palace Wolves game isn't finished just yet, but they're in the dying embers of that one into added time. So Villa 2-0 winners away at Spurs on Friday night. Chelsea a home win over Manchester United, the 2 Europa League finalists, beaten on the road. Everton final win ever at Goodison Park, 2-0 over Southampton. Forest 2-1 winners away at West Ham to keep their hopes of Champions League alive. Brentford were leading against Fulham multiple times in West London on Saturday, but beaten in the end by 3 goals to 2. Sorry, on Sunday, beaten by 3 goals to 2. Leicester 2-0 winners against fellow relegated Ipswich, and Arsenal getting the job done over Newcastle to secure Champions League, and all but secure second place as well for the Gunners, winning by a goal to 0. Brighton 3-2 winners over Liverpool, the champions, last night, with Jack Hinshelwood with a key goal to make it 3-2. And Arne Slot's team now without a win in 3, but who cares because they're the champions, they would say. Final score now from Selhurst Park, they win by 4 goals to 2 to Crystal Palace in their final home game of the season. The FA Cup winners ending their home season on a high, and what a party atmosphere it will be at Anfield when Palace face Liverpool on Sunday. And here at the Etihad, it's finished Manchester City 3, Bournemouth 1. So, let's see how the table looks after 37 games for all 20 sides. We will start from the top and work our way down. And we'll start at the very tippity top, where the champions are on their perch. Liverpool 83 points after 37 games. They're 12 clear of Arsenal in second on 71. Manchester City in third now after their win over Bournemouth tonight. 4 wins in their last 5, City. 68 points for them. They're 2 clear of 4th place Newcastle, 5th place Chelsea, and 6th place Aston Villa, all on 66. And Nottingham Forest in 7th on 65. It means any of those 5 teams, 3rd to 7th, could finish in the top 5 come the final day. It is set up to be a cracker. Forest know they must win because a draw might not be enough. Would not be enough now because of goal difference. So that wouldn't be enough even if they drew and the other teams lost. Goal difference would keep them out. So they must win for us. That's a must now. Villa know they can draw and still get a good result and still get top 5. But they would also like a win at Man United. Chelsea face Nottingham Forest, so they know their job is clear. Newcastle, they host Everton on the final day, so they'll be hoping for a good result to get Champions League back at St James's, and of course Man City away at Fulham, knowing a draw would be enough based on their goal difference. It would be enough to get a top 5 finish. Not a guarantee, but it should be enough to get them a top 5 finish for Manchester City. Draw away at Fulham. Right, that's the way that looks. 8th place Brighton. on 58 at the moment. They are leading the charge for that 8th place if it does become a European spot. That depends on certain circumstances, of course. Brentford in 9th on 55. They can still catch Brighton. If Brighton lose and Brentford win on the final day, goal difference would see Brentford in 8th. Fulham can now not get there, and neither can Bournemouth, who are in 10th and 11th. The FA Cup winners are in 12th, Crystal Palace on 52 points. A record points tally for Oliver Glasner's team and Crystal Palace in their history after they won their first ever major trophy at the weekend. A record points tally. What a last few days it's been for Crystal Palace. Everton in 13th. Wolves in 14th. Can't catch Everton now after their defeat tonight. 3 defeats in a row for Wolves after that fantastic run of form for Vitor Pereira's side. That's coming to an end. West Ham beaten as well last time out. Went not at home to Nottingham Forest. They're in 15th. And Man United and Spurs 16th and 17th. And the bottom 3, Leicester, Ipswich and Southampton. In that order. Right. That's it from us tonight. We have so much to bring you between now and the end of the season, including this. The 2025 Europa League final tomorrow at 8 o'clock kicks off in San Mamés in Bilbao. Tottenham taking on Manchester United. Which of those two teams will get Champions League next season? That will be the prize they're battling for, and the trophy as well. Spurs without a trophy since 2008. Man United were the holders of the FA Cup before they were dethroned by Palace at the weekend, so they want to get back holding a trophy, and we'll see if they can do that tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Then on Sunday, it's the final day live. We're live from 3:30 on the Premier League final day as Nottingham Forest take on Chelsea. Is our feature game. We'll be commentating on that one Sunday 3:30. Kick off at 4, and we'll have updates from all the grounds on Sunday as we keep you right up to date with the Premier League final day. That's it for us tonight. City in the driving seat again heading into the final day. 2 points clear into 5th place. They're in 3rd place and they were bang on for a Champions League place next season. Who knows though? There's final day drama on the line and we cannot wait for it. Do join us on Sunday for that. Hope you can join us tomorrow night for the Europa League final. For tonight, thanks very much for your company and we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye bye.